guys, it's Rhonda, and I am back with part 2 of my January Project Life process layout for you guys. The layouts that I'm working on right now complete all of January, so I'm excited to finish that and be able to move on to February and see what that hip kit club kit holds. But if you guys watched my last process video, I have a couple extra 4x6 cards already made, so I kind of got a head start on this layout. I had originally intended on the first layout for January to use a page protector that had 6 4x6 cards on it. I changed my mind and ended up going with a regular Design A, so I already had a couple of the 4x6 cards ready to go. So I'm just going to use those in the top 2 pockets of my the back side of that project, or that Design A. Sorry guys. What I'm working on right now is the 4 3x4 cards that go across the middle of that page protector. These are my Snapchat photos for January. Heaven help the day that me and my friend discovered Snapchat, because we have been obsessed with it ever since. Those Snapchat filters crack me up. They crack me up. So we had started probably the end of last summer getting into taking selfies and photos of the two of us and stuff with Snapchat. My layout for probably maybe August or September, I literally made a 1.5 page layout using Snapchat photos. I have since had to pare down because that was just taking like way too much space in my album. I'm glad I have them, but I needed to pare down and use less Snapchat photos. So this month I only have 3, and I decide not to do anything with them. I'm just going to leave them as they are. They're printed 3x4, and there's not a lot of room to trim them down. There's not a lot of room to add embellishments. So I go ahead and I just leave them. I don't do anything with those pictures, which is probably why these are not, this whole layout is not my favorite. I like to embellish, as you guys can tell. I like that process. So when I have photos that are just plain, that aren't embellished, they're not my favorite, and it's not my go-to. It's not kind of like what I like to see in my layouts. So, but it is what it is, and they're in there. And I'm not sure if I'll use Snapchat photos going forward, or how I'll use them in my next album. But this just kind of goes with what I've already established in this album, so I'm just leaving it as it is. So for this card, I downloaded that Snapchat logo a few months ago, and I've used it in my layout ever since to kind of, denote my January or my Snapchat photos. So I just put January snaps across the top of it, and layered a couple of the carnation ephemera pieces from the pink paisley kit, and called that card done. So this card is a picture of my kids. They had gone snowboarding, and I took this from one of my kids' Facebook pages. But it is a picture of my son and his girlfriend and my daughter and her husband. They went up snowboarding for a weekend. And the picture cracks me up because if you look at it, you only see 2 faces, but there are actually 4. All 4 of them are in this picture. You can clearly see my son and his girlfriend, but my son-in-law and my daughter's faces are barely on the edges of this picture. So it just made me laugh. So I wanted to make sure and put this in here because I love anytime I can document the 4 of them together. They are the best of friends, and they love hanging out together, and I'm always so happy when they do because they have so much fun together. I don't quite know how my kids developed this love of snowboarding. I am a Colorado native, and I have skied once, and I hated it, and I have never been snowboarding. So we, as my kids were growing up, we never took them snowboarding or skiing or anything like that, but as they grew up, they kind of developed their own love for it, and I'm so glad they did. I love that they enjoy that. I wish that I did, but yeah, at this point in my life, that's just not going to happen. So that Snow Mountain 2-day pass came from either the November or December hip kit. I switched the 2, and I used November's in December, and I used December's in November, so I'm not sure which one that came from, but I just ended up adding a couple pieces of ephemera to that, and then that card was done. So this card is actually a picture of my treadmill and my tablet with the title shot from a TV show called When Calls the Heart. And I have become addicted to this show. So over the Christmas holiday, the Hallmark Channel had like a When Calls the Heart Christmas special. And I watched it and I loved it. And I decided that I wanted to start watching the series. So part of my resolution for 2017 was to work out 4 days a week. I used to work out 4 or 5 days a week all the time until probably like it was the last quarter of last year. Things at work were crazy. We had gone through a merger. I didn't have time to work out like I wanted to. So I resolved this year to do that. And then I decided to download all of the seasons of When Calls the Heart. And that was my incentive for working out. I can only watch When Calls the Heart when I am at the gym. So it's helped to get me off my butt because I am addicted to that show. I love the characters. I love the actors that are in that show. I love everything about it. So I look forward to working out so I can find out what is going on in Hope Valley. So my goal was to get caught up before the new season started in February. And I have done that. So it has worked. It has worked. It's gotten me off my butt probably a good 4 days a week. So I think the thing I love about it, I used to love Little House on the Prairie when I was a kid, but I only really loved the ones where they were grown up, like where Laura was an adult and she married Almanzo. And those were like my favorite Little House on the Prairie. And that's kind of what this is. It's set in 1910 Canada, so it reminds me a lot of Little House on the Prairie. So, but for this journaling card, I took apart a frame that came with the ephemera kit and I just used the inside of the frame for my journaling. And then the bottom had this heart and this banner flag that says loving it. And I thought that was perfect to add to this card. First of all, because it has a heart, and then the banner flag is just perfect saying loving it, because I really do love it. I really do. So, like I said, I have caught up. I am on to like the regular broadcast. I'm where they broadcasted on Sunday nights on the Hallmark Channel. So I have now turned my attention to This Is Us. I missed the This Is Us bus when this show first started, but I heard so many people raving about it that I thought I need to start watching this show. So once I finished catching up on When Calls the Heart, I downloaded This Is Us. So I am trying to catch up on that before the new season begins. So we're getting there. We're getting there. So then all I did was just add that little pink butterfly to it, to this card, inked up my edges as I do. And then this card is done. So then, I'm trying to think, do I have one more card? No, I think that's it. So I'm going to pull this layout together. Oh, wait, I had a couple enamel dots. Sorry about that. Not really paying attention. And then that card is done. So I'm going to put these cards together. Yeah, sorry. Like I said, I'm distracted. It's Saturday morning, and April the giraffe has given birth this morning. And I have been obsessed with April for like 3 months now. So I'm like kind of paying attention to what's going on there. That little baby is adorable. So cute. My friend texted me at 7 o'clock this morning and said, hooves are out. So I have been watching religiously since about 7 o'clock this morning. So, but I wanted to get this done and uploaded. So I'm working on that as well. So there's the second part of my January layout. And then these cards that I'm creating right now are the last part of this, and this will finish up my January layouts. So this card is a picture of my son and my son-in-law on their snowboarding trip. And I love this picture. It's just kind of a selfie that they took up at the top of the mountain. And so I wanted to make sure and put this on here. The heart and the this are the wood veneers that came in the hip kit this month as well. That Hello Snow came from a cut-apart sheet that was, again, either in the November or December kit. I'm going to go ahead and just trim out the Hello Snow. I thought for sure I would get to use this card by now because I do live in Colorado, and surely there's got to be a time where I can use that. But we haven't had snow. It's been so dry this winter. We just haven't had a big snowstorm. So I was worried if I was going to get to use it or not, but luckily my kids went up to the mountains and found snow, so now I can use it. So I'm just going to add the heart and this and put that on there. And then I'm trying to figure out, I don't want like that banner floating. I need something to kind of separate it from the page. So I pulled this washi from my stash, and it's kind of a pink and purple, and it's got some black in it, washi tape that I just taped on there, and then I'm going to add the banner right to it. And I think I add a staple. Yeah, I add a staple with my tiny attacher, and then that card is done. So I've got one 3x4 card done. And then I'm going to turn my attention to this 4x6 card. It's a picture of my son and his girlfriend on their snowboarding trip. And again, I get to pull out some of that winter paper from the older hip kit, and I'm going to use that. And that wonderful winter came from that same cut apart sheet as the Hello Snow. So again, this is really the only time this winter that I would be able to use this is if the snowboarding pictures from my kids. So glad that they did this so that their mom could have something to scrapbook. So I'm just going to add that wonderful winter on that card. And then I reached for the wood veneer again that came with the kit, just to kind of tie in the wood veneer that I used on the other card. And I'm going to put, I think it's a heart as well, but I think it's the, it's that piece with the heart cut out in it. And I'm going to pull in that pink little butterfly just for a little pop of color on there. And then that card will be done as well. And if you guys notice, I didn't do any distress ink to this. None. So, yeah. I also like to make sure and document stuff that's going on in the world as well, not just my life, but, things that may be relevant down the road at some point. So this is a picture of one of President Obama's last days in office. And it's a picture of him waving goodbye, and it says, let me see what it says. It says, "My fellow Americans, it has been the honor of my life to serve you, President Barack Obama." So I wanted to make sure and document that as he is leaving office. It's been 8 years, so I felt that was worth documenting. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this card pretty plain and simple. I'm just going to use that floral ephemera piece from the Pink Paisley collection, as well as that Timeless, and that came from the collection as well. So I just glue those two on there, and that's done. I think later I try to see if I can add something else to it, but it's kind of perfect the way it is. Sometimes simple is best, and I went ahead and just left it the way it was. So because I only had 5 pictures on this layout, I had to create some filler cards, which I love to do. I'm so glad that I got to create, I think there's 3 filler cards on this page. So I pulled this frame from my stash. I have no idea where it came from. I don't know if I made it at some point, but it's stamped and it says warm and cozy. So I just went ahead and inked up the edges. I thought it would be perfect for a January layout. I don't know when else I'd get to use it. But I'm trying to figure out what paper I can use to back that green gingham on, just to kind of put another layer of paper onto this card. So I'm going to use that gray diagonal stripe, and I'm going to cut down that green gingham, and I'm going to mount that onto the gray stripe. And it's so funny because every time I use gingham paper, I think back to this. I went to a crop years ago, and some lady kept talking about this piece of paper that she loved. And she's like, "I'm looking for some gingham paper." And we were like, "What gingham paper? Like, what is gingham paper? We've never heard of it." And so she finally ended up describing this paper to us, and we were like, "Oh, gingham, you mean gingham?" And she's like, "Oh, it's not gingham?" We were like, "No, it's not gingham, but every time I use gingham paper, I think of gingham." So one of these times I'm going to end up calling it gingham, but it was funny. We laughed for a long time about that. So I'm just adding some washi to this card as well. This is I think it's a green floral. It's got some pinks and yellows on it, so it kind of works perfect with the layout colors that are on this page. And I'm going to use that pink and purple and black washi again as well, just to kind of pull in from the other card. So I'm going to mount those all together, and then I decide to put some foam tape on the back of that, that warm and cozy frame. I hate this foam tape. I'll never use this foam tape again. I cannot get the back off. No matter how many times I've used this, I struggle to take the back off of the adhesive every time. So I think on this one, I even end up like pulling off the whole adhesive strip that's on there. And I just end up gluing it, which I should just know when I use this tape that don't even try, just tape it. And I think that's me like trying to figure out, are you sticky? No, you're not sticky. So, but I love this filler card. I think it's so plain, it's so simple, but it just adds so much to this layout. That's why I love making filler cards. And I think that's one of the reasons that I love subscribing to the main kit versus a Project Life kit, because I have more flexibility to create my own filler cards when I have the main kit. So this 4x6 card is another picture of my kids' snowboarding trip. Thank goodness they went snowboarding, because I don't know what I would have to document for January. I didn't take very many pictures myself, but I'm always glad when I can use pictures of the four of them. So this, again, isn't the greatest of pictures. It's kind of washed out in the front, obviously because they were getting out of their car at the ski resort, and the snow kind of washed out the picture, but it's a selfie of all four of them. So I just mounted it on black, and I'm going to put it on this paper. And then that key came from the ephemera kit as well. And I love that it's big. It takes up all of that empty space over there. And it says, "You hold the key to my heart," which is so perfect for them because, like I said, they are the best of friends. And they get along so well, and they have so much fun together. And those four make me laugh like nothing. My two kids are hilarious, but when the four of them get together, I just die laughing because they're so funny. So they really enjoy spending time together. So I'm going to finally be able to use this watercolor heart. I've tried to use it on other cards in this layout, and it just has never worked, but I think it's perfect on this. And I can't use a heart without putting a tiny word phrase on it. So I pulled one from my stash that says "Happy Together," because they are. And I'm going to add that to this card along with some enamel dots. And then up at the top there, I added a tab that came from my stash. I have no idea where it came from, but it says "Weekend Trip." And how perfect is that? So, and it's pink, so it just goes perfect with this layout. It was like it was meant to be. So I go ahead and I use that. And then that card is done. So I get to make another filler card now. I think I'm going to do a 3x4 filler card. Yep. Because I tapped there, so that must mean that's what I'm working on. So I'm going to cut down this pink paper again. And I love this paper. I've used it a couple other times. And then I pulled this card, this butterfly card, from my stash. I have no idea where it came from. I don't know if it was a Gossamer Blue card, because I used to subscribe to Gossamer Blue. I don't know. I honestly don't know where it came from, but it's perfect because the January hip kit has a butterfly theme. So it just kind of ties everything in together. So I end up inking the edges again just to make it pop. And then I want to add that rose gold Instax frame that was in the January kit. But I don't quite know what to do with that empty space, so I turned to the rub-ons that came with the kit. These are the Hazelwood One Canoe 2 rub-ons, and I'm going to try to figure out which butterfly I want to use. And that one's a little bit too big. The frame kind of cuts off too much of it, so I'm looking for something a little bit smaller, and I end up using that yellow. And I think that's just perfect. There's that little yellow butterfly underneath. And I think it fits that frame perfect, and I just love the way this card ends up turning out. And again, it's super simple. I just use the one photo frame and the one rub-on, and it's done. I love simple filler cards, and it just, again, works perfect on this layout. So I'm going to glue that down, and then I think that card is done. I don't know that I add anything else to that. So nope, put it with my stack, and then work on the next one. So again, this is another filler card. I needed a 4x6 filler card, so this is the paper from the kit, and that tag with the carnations is in the ephemera pack as well. And then I pulled out the Follow Your Dreams wood veneer piece that came, and like many of you, mine came broken. But luckily, it's just that teeny tiny little piece of the D, so it's a super easy fix. So I'm going to ink up the this little tag. And again, just so perfect. Like I don't know. They come together so easily. I just love it when I have a whole matching kit and ephemera pieces that go with the papers, and it just makes it so easy to come together. And that's why I love using the main kit. So I pulled out some twine from my stash. This is, I believe, came from the dollar spot at Target. And I just added it to the tag, and I'm going to go ahead and just glue that down so that it's not like free floating. It's gonna stay right there. So I'm going to add that Follow Your Dreams. And this is a delicate wood veneer. Even when I glued it down, I was worried that I was going to break it. But I should probably like maybe use my quick dry adhesive to glue this down. But I hate my fine line bottle, and my fine line bottle hates me. So I try not to use it. I should really get a new one, but yeah, haven't been that out and getting that. So, but I'm just going to glue down that little teeny tiny broken piece there, and then that puts that whole piece back together again. And then I just take that floral piece again, pop that in the corner, and then that card is done. And I think I just ink up the edges just to kind of tie in the distressed look that I used on the tag, and just kind of make it all cohesive. I love treating each of my cards like their own little layouts. So yeah, I think that it just turned out perfect. I don't love the fact that there are 3 filler cards on this one page. I should probably spread them out a little bit so there's not so many filler cards on this, but I really like the way it came together, so I'm just going to leave it. Sorry. So this last card that I'm working on is a picture of donuts. And I try not to eat donuts very often, but my son had called me and said, "Hey, I'm coming over to do laundry. Will you make me donuts?" And my kids grew up on these donuts, and we call them home ec donuts, because when I was in home ec in 7th grade, we learned how to make these donuts. And I don't know if you guys ever made these. They are the easiest donuts in the whole world to make. It is literally a can of biscuit dough. I cut a little hole in the center and I fry them up. I add some whipped frosting, a little bit of sprinkles, and they're done. They're so easy. I think I made like 24 donuts in 10 minutes for my son and his girlfriend when they came over. But like I said, I don't have them very often, but home ec donuts are they're my jam. I just love them. So I have that donut sticker, and that's from the Carpe Diem from a collection from Simple Stories. And I was able to put that on here, and I put a little tag, and I'm just going to write home ec donuts. Don't need to really add anything else because that's all they are. Just home ec donuts, and they are the bomb. They're my favorite donuts. No other donut comes close to home ec donuts. So, and I use the grand biscuits, like the big ones, so that we have like big fluffy donuts, and they're so good, especially with that whipped cream or that whippy frosting. The best. So I think that this card actually completes this layout, which completes January, and that makes me super happy. So like I said, I get to move on to February, and I'm excited to see what's in that kit. I don't allow myself to look at what's in the kit until I actually work on that month. So I always like opening. It's like a present every month when I can open a new kit and see what's in there. I did sneak a peek, and I know it's a lot of butterflies again, which doesn't thrill me, but that's all right. It's okay. I'll deal. So just trying to figure out anything else I need to do to finish up these cards. I'm inking the edges of a few of them, but that's pretty much my layout. So thanks you guys so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. For those of you that have subscribed, thank you so much. As a new channel, I really appreciate your support. It means the world to me. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. I'm just going to put these cards in their page protector and call it done. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you again so much. Bye-bye.